Hello everyone. Welcome back to Play On. This is part 2 of our guest pod with Hannah. Lots to talk about with her, and enjoy.
Yeah, we're talking, across major oceans here. From what you've seen of Australian rugby, what are the similarities, or more to the point, what are the differences in match officiating, and how the rugby culture thrives in both countries?
I think the culture is the same. I think very much this is guys and girls coming together to have a good time, meet really good mates, have a family away from your family. I think that's what rugby is around the world. And I think that's why it's very easy to move across oceans and find your place quite quickly. Because ultimately we're there to play a good game, but the culture is still both teams will get together afterwards. We'll have a beer. We'll enjoy ourselves. As a team, we'll go out on a Saturday night and have a good time. But I do think that different to other sports, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think, again, Australia, you do still have that. Both teams are there afterwards, hanging out together, or at least in the same space. You might do a man of the match for your own team, one of theirs. It's very much about the game, not about individual clubs hating each other, having to beat each other. It's not war and peace. It is a game. It is a community game that everybody loves and everybody respects that, which, I've certainly seen other sports. Literally the away team will come out the change room and go, that's it, off. And so I think what our game is and how we interact with each other and other clubs is the same the world over. I think on the pitch, technically it's the same game, but I would say that Australian rugby, because of the prevalence of Aussie rules and rugby league, is very much more about the running game than the English game.
Yeah, I always found that there's the set piece and everything in the UK was more prominent. I found
absolutely agree with
the scrums
that.
and the management, and how that was done when I was in London versus here.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think most people will only see the internationals for Australian rugby, and I did look on YouTube. It's actually quite difficult to find local games to watch. And so you might find some highlights, but I think I found one game from 2020, one from 2022 to have a quick look at. The game itself is, I say, pretty similar, but I don't feel that the breakdowns and the scrums are refereed the same between the two countries, or by indeed the referees from those countries. I think we're very much more about making sure that certainly the scrum is a contest, because that can be a really good contest. And the front row are there to do one thing. The front row are on that pitch to scrummage. So let's give them their moment. Let's let them have a contest. And the same with the breakdown. If they want to, drive a guy off the ball and have a bit of a tussle there, let them enjoy that. What I don't think I see much from Southern Hemisphere referees in general is that refereeing of the breakdown, especially penalising the attack. I wouldn't want to penalise every breakdown, and we're encouraged very much to let the breakdown breathe. If the ball is there, let it play. But if something has been done that's impinging the ability of the opposition, absolutely penalise it. Penalising defence for coming over is common. I think most people expect to see those penalties given if they've come straight off their feet, they've stopped the attacking scrum half getting to the ball. What I don't think the Southern Hemisphere / Australian rugby does as much is when the attacking players are coming in from the side and driving a legal jackler off the ball from a legal position. I don't see that get pinged as much. I think that's just, the ball's at the back in the attack. And
topical subject at the moment, isn't it?
Very good.
Is it? I honestly, I swear I haven't been Googling.
You haven't been speaking to your friend Maro?
No, he's not returning my calls.
He's taking a page out of the Rassie playbook on how to manage expectations and perceptions.
I would say that he is slightly smarter than Rassie in that, going straight to referees rather than straight to the press. Oh, bless Rassie.
Yes, it'd be fair to say Rassie isn't flavour of the day here in the refereeing fraternity, particularly at the elite level.
And I don't think he cares, to be honest.
No, I don't think he does.
He does have the keys to all of South Africa at the moment.
Yes, it's a badge of honour for him that he's able to do that. So, to some of your points, it trickles down and you see it in social media, but you also see it at community level. And Rassie's got a lot to answer for.
He's got a hell of a lot to answer for. I'm not sure that World Rugby's got a handle on this, that it should do, or that it needs to. And I don't know whether or not they don't understand the impact of what they're allowing him to do. or they just don't know what to do about it. Everyone in the referee community knows about Rassie and quite publicly berates referees. Funny enough, never decisions that go towards South Africa. They're always right. It's really, really weird that.
Well, it's also interesting. You look at the elite referees in World Rugby at the moment, and none of them are South African.
No,
If it goes back to Piercy's theory, Piercy has a theory of the top referees and who makes it to the World Cup.
Is that with regards to the countries that have the good referees win the next World Cups, or is that with regards to the South Africans have a way of weaseling someone in there anyway?
Things the first one.
Well, the dynamic with South Africa, we all know the story. Like we've seen the Matt Damon movie. We all know South Africa's a beautiful story for rugby, but I think they are coming to grips with the fact that they like to carry their weight around, and the Sanzar said thank you but no thank you, and I think they're now experiencing a little bit of pushback in the European engagement, and I think they are going to start to reap a little bit of what they sow there, unfortunately. But in the meantime, their team's doing exceedingly well.
Yeah, and then women have gone up a major level as well. So they've got a little bit of, when I say elite, I was talking the men's game, so they've obviously got an elite female referee or two. And they've got a couple of guys fighting around sevens and starting to come into ARing. But we had Andre Watson do 2 World Cup finals in a row.
Then Papes and Mark Lawrence, and it's a long list of tap.
Yeah, we're a long way off that.
Referees.
Yeah, we're nowhere near that at the moment. So, that is there a causal connection or is it coincidental? No, I think not.
I think we also need to acknowledge that South Africa's population is so big. And there's not many other sports there. Soccer's huge.
Yeah.
But rugby professionally over there and financially gets so much support. They really are playing with a different set of rules over there.
Yeah. So I know a few South African referees. They always send a pretty big contingent over to Dubai for the Invitational. And having conversations with some of those guys, so first of all, they have got some quality referees out there. How or why they're not making it to the very top of the game, I don't know if that's just a timing issue and they're going to come through, or whether or not there's something else at play. I don't think I'll ever know that. But they definitely have a good cohort of some top class guys and girls doing sort of the amateur game, or starting to break into URC. But it is, to find this match official abuse and things that are going on, I've heard some real horror stories from what's going on over there, including I'm not going to sort of say which part of South Africa it was, but there was an accusation of match fixing, of bribery. If that were to happen in London, then London society would say, how dare you? How dare you suggest that? What's your evidence? What can you say to support this? And just be very much on the referee's side. The tale I heard over there was that their refereeing society turned around and asked for the bank accounts details or the bank account transcripts from the referee to make sure they hadn't. They were sort of taking the word of the clubs.
There's no
over
support.
The referee.
Yeah.
Real sort of lack of support for some of the referees out there. And equally, with everything that's going on politically, who's getting the fixtures, who's getting the big games is always a bone of contention. And then
they're not very good at that politically. And let's use the example of Craig Joubert, who we all know was arguably the best referee in the world for a period there. And if he wasn't, he was pointy end. And yet the South Africans never nominated him. He went to the second tier Hong Kong tournament. Paddy went, why aren't I seeing this guy? He's great. And they went, no. The South African says, no, he is not. We're not putting him up as a professional referee. And Paddy O'Brien said, but he's the best you've got. He's going to go to the World Cup next. But they would never have nominated Craig Joubert.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Symptomatic, right?
And, I don't want to get involved in politics. I think South Africa is still coming to grips with what it went through and coming out the back of that and doing a levelling up. And I think that has to happen. But interestingly, as the rest of the world becomes fascist and right wing, South Africa might be a beacon of hope in 10 years' time. But they've not, say like it is. They've not. I
love how you're not getting political, but referring to the rest of the world becoming fascist and right wing. That's
that's not political. That's just fact. And also, I'm hugely conscious as well that anything that I'm going to say around post-apartheid as a white Brit, it comes from a certain place, and I can't possibly speak to anybody else's experience around that. There's always going to be a certain view on it or a certain depiction of it, and it isn't right. But certainly, South Africa should be very proud of some of the referees it's got. They're doing a great job bringing these guys and girls through. And then they just need the very top of the game to catch up. And I'm confident that it will. But the match official abuse that you hear about over there just seems to be on another level as well. And going back to what we're talking about, I do wonder, we know that this is the Rassi effect. I didn't see any huge impact for him from World Rugby off the back of it. He was able to go out, call the best referees in the world basically cheats. I feel like the referee that followed that outburst was affected by that. And yeah, of course he would be.
Yeah, and you talk, Hannah, about referee abuse. I did a game in Ellis Park many, many years ago, but two guys sidled up beside me on my way out of the car into the stadium as security guards, and then coming back out too. And I'm talking to them saying, "Oh, g'day guys, I'm Nathan. Oh yeah, we're here. Nathan, we're your security escort." And I went, "Oh, are they guns you've got there?" "Oh yeah." He's showing me the gun. He said, "Oh, this is where that bloke got shot last year." So sad. I went, what do you mean? "Yeah, one of the referees in the game last year got shot here and he died." I'm like, okay, just think you gather around a bit
I'll
closer.
just be in your blazer.
You are right.
Mental.
It is truly horrifying.
How was that not international news? That's insane. Oh my goodness.
Curry Cup game.
All right, so maybe we should flip over to some of the other questions that we've got.
Yeah, should focus on the positives of refereeing rather than all the match official abuse that we get hurled.
I was going to ask, just because we were talking about sort of the differences about how like the UK and Australia, how they played, and like how you officiate it. I wanted to bring up about your tackle height law and like how you feel it's going in the UK. Because in Australia, we introduced it about with anything like above the sternum. And I just want to see how you guys are going over there in the UK and hear about how you brought it through.
Same thing. The sternum to sort of the armpit area is what we're looking at, really. World Rugby and the RFU brought out these wonderful pictures of what a tackle should look like without any view to real World Rugby. So we've approached it. Certainly within London, we've encouraged an approach that you need to be sensed about this. They're not always going to be around the hips or below, but if a tackler is making the attempt to get low or a second tackler is making the attempt to stay out of the headspace, then that's what we're aiming for. This was brought about to reduce head-on-head contact. So if the players are making that effort, then we don't need to get bogged down in, first of all, I don't know where your sternum is. I'm not checking that post-match. I'm not marking your shirt. So I'm not going to go there. We're looking at where's the sensible height. So if you're making that effort to get low and get and tackle, and even if you misjudge it slightly, but realise and move further down or let go, overall, we're looking at safety of the ball carrier, safety of the tackler as well, actually. Has that been achieved? And I think, by and large, pretty much the clubs now really have got on board with this. You're seeing many more tackles around the middle of the body and the legs. And if they are sort of going in upwards, going high, far more than are immediately stepping back and going, "I'm really, really sorry." And also penalties for high tackles don't get the same reaction they used to get. They don't get no. It's more like, okay, I appreciate that. I'm sorry. Step back. I noticed that school rugby's took to it really quickly.
Yeah. I think that's a similar experience to here. We're seeing less coat hangers, the old style whack across the head.
Yeah.
We'll penalise now shoulder on shoulder, and that's probably the most common one because people just don't adjust in time. But the head, I think, is more protected. And to your point, there's a little bit of flex in what's important and what's not, because at the end of the day, we're trying to protect the head first and foremost. And if we're getting them down here rather than up here, for the first year, I counted the number of penalties I gave above head as opposed to between sternum and neck. Okay. And I know that number's dropped right off. So it's good to hear that it's a consistent outcome in the UK as well, which means it's probably working everywhere that's done it, which is what we're trying to do.
I think from a point, the people that we've had, it's not really a problem, but have adapted less to it, probably the vets teams, because they've been doing it for 25 years.
Yeah.
It's hard to bend. When you get old, it's really hard to bend.
The hinging of the hips.
That. Yeah. But funny enough, 6-year-olds can still scrummage. So, I'm not taking that as a...
Yeah, the scrum height's also about 2 meters tall.
It's a little higher.
You've got something to lean against.
Each other, yeah. Sometimes the referee, they're too close. I love vets rugby. It's so much fun. But it's this thing, when you first start coaching rugby, you're coached to tackle low, which means that this whole idea of tackling high has been coached in. And so now we just need to coach it back out again, or all the coaches do, sorry. I mean, the referees are a part of that by penalising appropriately.
It's a very good
But
point.
it's, it's just bring back, and which is why I think that actually the school kids adapt to do it so much more easily than
Yeah, they're doing
some
really
of the adult
good.
players. They're doing great.
Yeah.
The first season that came in, they were pretty much on it straight away, whereas some teams took a while. And then you go to, for example, a Vets game or a second team game, and in rocks some guy that hasn't played for 6 years. He's a ringer, hasn't got a clue, and it's immediately obvious that he's struggling with it. He or she, they're struggling with it.
Yeah, we get rugby league players sometimes stepping in as well, and then that's when I
We
can
have
really
that
tell.
as well.
Yeah.
Because they tackle by punching in the face. Yes.
Yeah. Well, one of the challenges at some levels of the game is because at elite level we're still playing the neck rather than the sternum in simple terms.
Yep.
Players going between the two sometimes struggle a little bit because they might play Super Rugby one week and club the next week. And you see them struggling a little bit sometimes. Same with the kids. If they're playing, I don't think many of the pathways do that actually, but there are parts of the game. So women as well, I had that this year. I had some Wallaroos playing in club, and the week before they were playing test or super, and then they came back to club, and I said, look, how are you going with the adjustment? And they go, well, she's got it. Not so sure about that one. And you just see, but they know now, and the muscle memory comes back after a couple of penalties and a whack, and off they go. So
I will say, I'm not sure we have that many elite players coming back to club in the UK. I think with the professionalism aspect, their clubs don't want them going off and playing for a local club on a weekend off and breaking their ankle. I think that's a bad look. So that's not something we have to deal with. It's more twofold: the players that haven't played for a while or just struggling with it, but also when you hit 60 minutes in a tiring game, to your point, the muscle memory kicks in.
Yeah.
And even though we are a couple of seasons into this, they get fatigued.
Yeah.
The first, everything just relaxes a bit more, and then suddenly those high tackles creep back in. And so again, as a referee, you've got to start noticing that and reacting in the right manner. Not necessarily just penalising, but saying, look, I know we're 60 minutes in, you're getting a bit tired, but I do need you to keep those tackles lower. And that usually gets a decent response. But overall, anytime you bring change into rugby in the UK, for whatever reason, even if it is something as wholesome and as pure as player safety, shocker, the rugby community, or certainly fans, react with, oh, God, it's the death of our game. It's the worst thing ever.
I know, right?
Rugby is RIP rugby. It's dead. And funny enough, it hasn't. It's been fine. They're still tackling. They're still scrummaging. They're still having a great time. It wasn't the horror show that everybody made it out to be. And it wasn't to implement in the end that as referees feared it was going to be. The one thing we still struggle with is the hinging of the ball carrier, that last minute hinge down where they're the ones that go into headspace to tackler.
Yeah.
I think most referees will say, well, actually, you don't see it that often. And I say the same thing. I don't see it that often. And I don't think I do. But equally, I don't think I'm great at picking it up either. I think it's not something that I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on the tackler. I've seen one or two really obvious ones, but if they're sort of going from 45 to 90 last minute, I find that difficult to pick up. And so I am struggling a little bit with it, but that's also a much smaller part of the tackle height match. Most of it is the tackler being upright versus going in low, and we're seeing a really good progress on that. And it's just not a thing anymore. It's just part of the game and how they know they have to tackle.
I want to maybe touch on the World Cup a little bit and how it was over there for you guys. How was it with the atmosphere, with, I guess, the different match officials, maybe if you were involved, or other members being ref number 4 or 5?
So I wasn't involved. I was involved as in I went to a few games and I had a great time, and I knew the referees. We had a couple of really good experiences. So obviously we knew this was coming. The RFU as a whole knew this was coming, and they knew that they wanted full female teams of 5 on the matches. So what they've done for the last couple of years is train up sort of 4 and 5 specifically for that. And I wasn't involved in that, and so I wasn't part of that. And I think I half-heartedly put my name down to maybe be a volunteer at Twickenham, but actually really glad I didn't because I got tickets instead and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
So I would just like to point out, I've been to 2 World Cup finals in my life and England have won both of them. So I'm really chuffed. So
Well done.
sorry guys.
It was nearly the best night of my life in 03.
We have been at the same match,
Oh,
Hannah.
fantastic.
So 3 of us were there, and
I'm still cursing Johnny Wilkinson left and right foot.
yes, and my goodness, what a night though. My goodness.
I've still got my copy of the Australian from the next day. I've got it at home. I went out and I bought a copy of the Australian with the headline, "We were wrong," or "We're sorry," something like that. That basically had them backtracking and saying, "You're not a one-man band. You can actually play rugby. We're really sorry we've been sledging you for the last 3 months. Damn it, you deserved it." What a game.
That's a Rupert Murdoch paper. So, you take what you read in that with a grain of salt.
I'll take it. I don't care. It's great.
Yeah. As nice as it's under a banner that says the Australian, right? So,
Yes.
yeah, brilliant.
But the Women's World Cup, I wasn't
Yeah.
involved. I knew a few girls that were seconded off to be 4 and 5s around the country.
Mhm.
Overall, it was a phenomenal experience. Australia are hosting next, I believe, and I think they
Woo.
need to start. Yeah, it should be great. We've shown there is an appetite for it.
A lot of pressure on us. You guys did such a great job.
I think there is. This was a few years in the making, and if Australia isn't already thinking about how they're going to do this and how they're going to promote it, and they need to start.
They're on it. They're on it early.
They're on it.
They're on it, and they're on it hard.
Because perfect. So they've seen what can be done. I went to 4 games at 4 different stadiums, and they were all close to sellouts. The atmosphere was brilliant. The women's game has a different feel to it. It's very much more family friendly and fun, and you'll see kids there. And I think part of that is ticket price as much as anything else. What England Rugby has successfully done over the last few years is price out your average fan. That especially if they want to take their kids to get to Twickenham now for an England versus a B grade team is minimum, I'm going to say, £95 a ticket. And then when you get there, obviously everything else is enhanced price as well.
The food, drinks.
The food, the drinks, it's a pricey day out. Whereas Women's World Cup games, I think some of the tickets for the final, so the third, fourth playoff and the final were played together. Again, a stroke of genius. Some of those tickets were only £30. That's huge. You can take your whole family.
It's not just the UK that's pricing out. We just had the Lions, right? So the third test was in Sydney. Full house, 82,000 people. It was the biggest grossing event at that stadium of all time.
Wow.
Now, that's a stadium that used to seat 110 in Olympics mode. Outgrossed Taylor Swift at the same venue.
Crazy. Tay-Tay.
So they took 20 million.
And they had fans on the grass.
Yeah, exactly. And they sold $4 million worth of food and bev. That's one match.
Goodness.
Yes, it's an issue around the globe. So, and I know how much tickets cost because I bought and paid for and went. Yeah, it was.
How is the remortgage going, Rob? Yeah.
It's
How you surviving on one kidney?
Almost recovered. And this brings me to the World Cups, right? And I boldly made this prediction in one of our earlier pods that by the time we get to the women in 29 here, we'll be using the same grounds as the men. Now, that's my aspiration. I don't know whether it's going to follow, but I think the trend line is good. And look,
they need to book it ahead of time, eh? Yeah. So then
we'd like to do a good sporting event here, whether it's Olympics or Formula One or AFL, whatever it might be. We go okay at that World Cup. So I'd like to hope we can build on the momentum because
the Australian public loves that the experience a couple of years ago with the Tillies. That was just phenomenal.
Soccer, yeah.
There's no reason they shouldn't build on this, and that's exactly what we did. So the only match in London was the final. So and the RFU said, or whoever was organising this, said from the very start, we want to sell out Twickenham for the Women's World Cup final. I think the women in the rugby community went, yeah, great. I'm not sure all the men were fully on board. I think they thought that was going to happen. But as we went through the years and the PWR's kicking off, and for similar reasons, aka ticket price, if you go to the Stoop on a regular Saturday or a Sunday for a women's game, it's not a sellout. But you'll often see one of the stands sold out. And again, you can get tickets for a quarter the price in the men's game. So, of course, you're seeing, you're bringing the kids in. The women players are now the heroes for a lot of kids in the rugby community because they're the ones they have access to. They're the ones they can actually
They're
go and
accessible.
watch.
Absolutely.
They're accessible.
Yeah.
And let's celebrate they're better role models too.
Yeah.
I
Better
was about to
role
say
models.
as
Yeah.
well, really great role model. I think the men are still pretty good role models, but I've witnessed at the Stoop, the girls would not just walk around afterwards, but they were making a real effort to go and say hello to everybody, sign autographs, pose for photos. I saw Ellie Kildunn take a photograph for somebody last time I was there. It's that kind of player interactions that's really making them popular and people that that kids want to go and watch and follow. And they just seem more accessible in that regard, sort of post-match, than the men. I'm sure the men are great and they're friendly, but they're in the change room, they're talking about what's going on, they're focusing on next week, whereas the women are taking that time to just enjoy it, say thank you to the people for coming, and be accessible.
What was interesting from afar was the referees were treated like rock stars as well. So we saw, Holly doing a lap. This wasn't even in the final, in pool games, and the photos that were coming back from punters wanting to have a photo taken with the referee.
Yeah. It was wonderful.
How good is that?
Yeah. The first game I went to was up in Northampton, and I was sat at the back of the stand. But it's the same thing. I was just watching everybody go around, and I could see the team of three because they were bright yellow, like traffic cones walking around.
Yeah.
But same thing. They're walking around, and I think when I was talking to, because I do know some of them, again, sort of Dubai Link and through other people, when you sort of chat to them or reach out to them on social media, they weren't particularly going around for a lap of honour. They were going to find their family and friends. But they kept getting sidetracked by people saying, can we get a photo?
Yeah.
It's kind of odd as a referee to be treated like that. And it was just a brilliant thing to see. The respect for the referees.
I loved it.
Also, maybe that's sowing the seed that maybe there's somebody there that wants to give it a go at their club.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
the referees aren't berated. They're not being treated as something, as somebody's there to ruin the game. They're a part of it and they're being treated as such. So yeah, it was really great to see that interaction. And obviously Holly, there were people at the final who'd brought signs just for Holly. Somebody was floating around with a sign that said, a Scot in the final again. And, she was being treated as an entity in her own right, and rightly so. And she's just been inducted into the Hall of Fame.
There were a couple of seminal moments, yes. So you've been inducted during the World Cup, and Holly's just gone to the Scottish Hall of Fame. So you've got two match officials that are female match officials that are up there writ large for people to see. So there's a wonderful beacon for people to follow in a tournament that had such good vibes around it. I mean, it helps that England won, but by the same token, all the teams looked like they were very collegiate. So, yeah, I'm sorry.
Maybe I'm happy to say this because England won and England were the favourites, but I feel like had Canada beaten us, it would have still have been a great night. It would have been a great game, and what a story that would have been.
And I think Canada have made themselves a lot of fans.
Yeah, I think either way, Canada has a great story, and I think we're happy that we got that far as well.
And one of the commentators was saying, I really want this to be true. There's a petition for Sophie de Goody to change her name to Sophie de Grady. And I'm for that. I think she's excellent.
Oh, I like that. That's good. That's really good.
If it isn't true, we should make it happen. Yeah, she really was phenomenal.
That's a little bit of brilliant. Yeah, bravo to whoever came up with that.
Yeah, whoever came up with that. So one of the male commentators for the semi-final brought it up, and I just thought that was absolutely brilliant.
It sounds like a Rupert. That's the sort of thing Rupert would say.
So do you find we're having to try to increase the amount of referees we have because of the amount of games and the game is growing itself? Do you find after the World Cup there's a way, or if there's any initiatives that maybe are coming through on how you're going to get more referees or more engagement for the match officials?
Sadly, nothing's really come from the top on this. So it's up to us as referee societies to seize on that. And I think at the moment, what the game is focusing on is getting the players in. And as a consequence, the referees will follow. We are seeing an uptick in referee courses being asked for at clubs. And we're also always offering. And as London works in a way that we ask that every club that we provide referees to kind of puts one into the pot, so to speak. We think that's kind of fair, and most clubs buy into that.
How does that work? Yeah, I was just curious because is there benefits to it for the clubs?
There's definitely benefits to it for the clubs. Some things benefits to the referees as well. So benefit to the club, not so much anything tangible. We have spoken about whether or not we would be able to afford a sort of a discount for clubs that give us a lot of referees, or have a lot of referees allied to them, but that is very hard to track and difficult to kind of manage. I think it's more a relationship benefit for both. If you're a club that has got an issue with, or starting to get a reputation again for being difficult to work with, not paying their expenses, problems with the sideline, if one of the referees is a member of your club, that's kind of an easier way in. Say, hey, who can we speak to, or can you talk to your chairman for us? Again, it's that humanising the referee. Because if it's one of your own who's a really good girl and she's a great player and she's brilliant on Saturday night out and she's excellent on the pitch, and all of a sudden she's refereeing as well. So, actually, it's a human connection. This is somebody that's one of us that's a referee. That they're not external to the club, they're not external to the game. So it's just bringing that community together. And also as well, just from a sort of selfish point of view from the referee society, the more we have in from every club, obviously the more referees we have in the pot. But certainly we've had, really good referees with close club links that have just forged very strong relationships have ended up being clubs that we enjoy going to referee because we know they're never going to be in a hassle. Or if they do have something to say that isn't particularly, nice, or they're having to raise a point, we know it's coming from a place that they want to make you a better referee, or that they think it's a genuine issue. They're not just venting because they lost. And we certainly have clubs that we enjoy going to for that very good reason. The referees are respected and just made to feel a part of the day. And you can have a good time afterwards as well. And they do tend to be the clubs that have got a stronger referee cohort. We do notice there's definitely a correlation. The clubs that don't have any referees with us, or very few, they're the ones we tend to have problems with, because there's no referee in the middle of the club going, guys, just calm it down a bit, please.
Yeah, we see the same. And, Piercy alluded to that when he was talking colours earlier. There's a bit of a correlation there, I think, as well. And not just that club, but you can see that trend line. Absolutely. Do you want to move on to some of our special questions, Candice?
Yeah, let's do a rapid one.
If you could change one rugby law tomorrow to make your life as a referee easier, what would you do?
Oh, this is an easy one. I've been talking about this for years. You know those long kicks that go into the 22 and there's one fullback and there's nobody else around for 40 metres plus and they fumble it? For me, that shouldn't be a knock-on. Just get on with it. There's been no detrimental impact to the game. You've not stopped anybody from scoring. If it's a genuine little fumble rather than a forward pass and there's nobody there to benefit from it, just play on.
I've been doing that for years.
but when it's so obvious, and that literally all eyes are on that fullback, and they drop it. If you don't give it, it's like,
audience are like, well,
yeah, exactly.
And they give themselves up as like, mate, just
haven't heard that one before. That's out of the box.
It's just such a simple one for all the things that break down that we just kind of let go because they're not affecting the play, and yet. Every single time we have to call a scrum on that, and then we have to wait a minute and a half for the prop to come down from the other 22. And that's well, I mean, there'll be other opportunities, I'm sure, in every game to do that.
I'd rather pick a halfback.
Well, just remember, fullbacks are two halfbacks, so you double down, Piercy.
Hannah, what's your favourite law?
What's your favourite law?
I was a referee. Most of the time we joke it's 6A4A, referee is sole judge of time and law on the pitch, aka the God law. But
Oedipus complex.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. There are so many around sort of player safety. I mean, there's lots I don't like about the new ones coming in. For me, it's any of the ones that just allow clean play away. So no contact in the air, line out, I think is just a safety issue and it makes it a lot easier. You know what? One that I was talking about for a long time that's just come in, if it's a no compete at the line out and it's just mildly not straight, crack on.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Again, that's something I think referees have been doing that for a long time anyway at lower levels out of spotlight. Yeah, exactly.
Pieces always done that. Yeah.
So actually, I'd probably go for that one.
Good.
That's a great one.
Hey, who's the worst player you've ever refereed?
I've done a lot of low-level rugby, and I think it's very, very unfair to say that they are not good players. I probably couldn't give you a name.
Not in terms of players, worst people, like as you're a shit human as opposed to being a shit player.
I've red carded a captain for just being just awful in terms of everything I did against his team or gave against his team was a personal assault on him.
Was he a halfback?
I want to say he was a number 8 or a flanker. He's one of the back line.
Was he a small one playing out of position as halfback?
No, he was big. I'm 5'11", and I was sort of looking up to him slightly. So it was pretty terrifying. So this was, and also this was quite early on in my career as well. So maybe I was doing a few things that he wasn't expecting, and maybe I was being a bit judicious. I don't know, but everything was a personal attack, and he was very kind of aggressive with his interactions with me as well, and it made me incredibly uncomfortable. Yeah. And in the end, I just red carded him. Yep. Wasn't really left with much choice. I needed him off the field, and even his team came back and said, "Well, thank God for that. Like now we can just get on with playing rugby." They were kind of they weren't with him on this. They were sort of afraid of him as well. And
that says everything, doesn't it?
And he just, why are you on the field? Why the hell are you captain?
What's next, Piercy?
Who's your favourite ref, Hannah?
As a London referee, you kind of got to say, Wayne Barnes, although he's not refereeing anymore.
Yes, I knew you were going to say that. Yeah. And he's mine too.
But he's just still an advocate for the game as well. And he's not refereeing anymore. He's made it very clear that he doesn't want to. He wants his last game to be a World Cup final. And I think that's good. But he's still an advocate for us, and he's still hanging around. The current referees, like I say, everybody loves Ella. She's such a great success story in the last couple of years coming through. I think she's probably not at the top of her game right now, but she's certainly going to be. And I'm so excited for her in 2029.
She's going.
So I think she's only going one way. And she's just such a lovely girl as well. Saying nothing against all the other referees, that they are such a lovely, lovely bunch. But I think she's got something special, and her backstory is great. From the men's game, I think I just like how Ben O'Keefe referees. I think he's just got a sort of common sense streak to him. Nothing too showy.
Love it.
And have you got a personal refereeing motto or mantra?
Oh, so actually, when doing the referee course, they asked you to come up with this, like, what's your personal refereeing philosophy? And I teach a lot of these courses. I know. So I teach a bunch of these courses, so I've sort of been thinking about it. And it's really to give the players the game that they need on that day. Whatever game, I could have 2 games, one on Saturday, one on Sunday, and have completely different refereeing styles because of who they are. If it's a men's league game, I'm not going to referee that the same way as I'm going to referee an under-16 friendly. So it's just about what can I do.
I like that one. That's a good one.
To give them what they need to have a good game.
The game that they need. That's a ripper.
I like that one.
I really like that one. What is the best or worst advice you've received about reffing?
I mean, the best is what we always say is you've got to enjoy it. The minute you stop enjoying what you do, step away. Yeah. Because nobody's going to benefit from you carrying on. The worst, I don't think I've had bad advice as such. It's that thing, different assessors look for different things. It's always around your positioning or what to focus on, and it's their personal view. So I'm not going to say I've actually had any bad advice. I just think sometimes it's not been
probably because you haven't listened to it. That's good
for me. Yeah, that's it. I've blocked it out over the years and I can't remember it. I just focus on the good stuff.
It's only bad advice if you actually listen to it.
Exactly, yeah, exactly that. Certain assessors might have a real bee in their bonnet around the line out or ways, and if you spend your time focusing on that one thing, you're going to miss 95% of the game. So I don't think I've ever had particularly bad advice, but I've certainly had advice that
whether you're wearing white shoes or tucking your shirt in.
When I first started, like back in the day when I first started, female refs really were an anomaly. You almost had to be like one of the guys saying, I don't wear makeup, don't wear jewellery.
Yeah.
And I just love the fact now that we've come so far that, referees, some referees, they've gone and put his mascara. Well, that's brave. I know. I swear, I'm not a fit person. If I'm running, that mascara is running down my face. So I'm not doing makeup. But the fact that the top female referees now are out there with jewellery.
I want to get my nails done like Maggie.
Yeah. Have you heard Maggie's nail story? Maggie's nail story is great. She's been on the pod if you ever want to listen. So, yeah.
So I was lucky enough to host a Q&A with the World Cup referees, and she was one of the ones there. So that was a nice experience.
Yeah, she's great.
She's awesome. Hannah, what's your best reffing story? We love a funny, quirky story, something that...
Anything from Dubai Sevens.
Oh, it goes on tour, stays
and
on
we
tour.
don't like them PG if you want to...
Anything on tour stays on tour.
Once the pod ends, there's certainly some stories from some of the male referees around that we could do non-PG. I'm going to stay quite dull. I'm going to stay quite family friendly. I think my favourite refereeing experience I've ever had. I wasn't refereeing in London. I was refereeing in Shropshire in a town called Ludlow.
Can we just have a moment to pause on the place called Shropshire? That's funny. I've got the Shrops.
It is a place, and I'm fairly certain we don't have that phrase over here. I rock up to referee this game, and Shropshire's beautiful. It's out in the country. Ludlow is famous for its medieval castle. And just by complete coincidence, on this day, they're having some kind of medieval day or something. And so I get diverted around the castle. I finally find the grounds. We're in the middle of farmers' country. So first of all, every player turns up in a Land Rover wearing check shirt, chinos and Wellingtons. I'm like, okay, right, this is where we are.
Bless.
And
The
it's
rugby starter
fantastic.
kit.
It's brilliant. Yeah, you can tell they've all got border collies or Labradors at home. And then as I'm warming up, the cannons from the castle start firing as they're doing something up there as a celebration. So I'm warming up and I've got cannon fire going off in the background. And I've just never, ever forgotten that day as about the most surreal thing I've ever heard in my life.
Cool.
That was quite cool. In London, like, I mean, I've had to stop a game because the stags walked onto the pitch in Bushy Park. We have wild deer roaming around.
Yeah, I was going to say a deer, or was it a stag party?
Or just the Gordon team.
No, this was an actual male deer that decided that
That's awesome.
it just fancied having a quick. And this is an under-18s game. The kids were
And
just
I'll
like,
send you through a clip.
"Can you do
We
this?"
had some kangaroos invade my game this season. It
Oh
was
yeah,
really cool.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, like wildlife just don't care.
Yeah, and the team defending said, "Oh, stop the game. There's kangaroos on the field." I said, "I'd be more worried about the giant lad that's about to run into you."
Yeah.
That's great. He gets sideswiped. A few little things like that have happened. I did get knocked out on the pitch last year as well, which
Yeah, me too. Yours was an accident, was it?
yeah, a charge down just went completely awry and got me right on temple.
Oh.
This game was being recorded as well, so there's a wonderful clip of me just staggering, falling over and lying there.
Oh, you poor thing.
And yeah, I think I was probably out for like a quarter of a second, but as soon as I came out, I was sort of lying on the ground. And again, it's an under-18s game, and all these teenage boys are just like, "Have we killed her?
No.
What
We've killed the ref. We've killed the
What's
ref.
happened?"
Oh, it's
Yeah. And then the best thing is on the video, you then see the coaches run on. It's like, you know, it's bad when the coaches of an under-18 team come onto the pitch. But it was all
So
fine.
you're now known as Gilbert. Is that your nickname now?
It is not, thankfully. They're better than that.
Hannah, I would like to thank you. That was seriously cool. Some really cool insights into running the society in London, but also just your career and groundbreaking career. Thank you for everything you've done for our wonderful game.
Thank you very much for your time and sharing.
No, I've enjoyed it. It's like my first podcast. Thank you very much.
Woo! I really enjoyed hearing the whole story of how you got into it, but also the nuances that we have to go through as match officials. And I think as this type of podcast, we're trying to show like the other side. And it's been really nice to hear about both the UK for those listeners, but also for Australians to listen in on it and like what you might hear and learn, or actually there's quite a lot of similarities. So yeah, I'm very happy to be able to come on.
I mean, it's the same game, right? And one of our Westist superstars at the moment was a transplant from Australia. And he's just started doing RFU level games at level 4. You know, he came over and he stepped right
who's
in.
that?
Pete Buchanan.
Oh, yeah.
He's a Queenslander, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't hold it against him.
We definitely haven't. He is such a great guy. He's just so lovely, so laid back. One of my favourite ever refereeing stories involves Pete, and it sums him up and rugby brilliantly. We went down to the Bournemouth Sevens, and there were a few drinks on the Friday night.
I love Bournemouth
and some
Sevens.
pizza. Oh, so much fun! Yeah, and one of the few times as
Best.
referees, you're all in a hotel, you're all hanging out together. It's proper rugby, rugby family, rugby community.
Yeah, on tour. Yep.
And so Pete's there, and he's rooming with a guy called Rich Gordon, who he knows from New Zealand, and they're both from over, and they are both absolute superstars on and off the pitch for referees. Very, always give back to referee society meetings, turn up, just good guys through and through. And so a few drinks are had, and the next morning we're sort of waiting for everyone to arrive. And Pete falls downstairs with his hair everywhere, sunglasses on, pizza in hand from the night before. Just looks a mess. He's this funny, pale grey colour. He is not having the best morning.
Oh, no.
We get to the venue and we get to the tent, and he just curls up in the fetal position and lies there. It's like, Pete, you're on the elite pitch at 9 a.m. And so 10 to 9, he gets up, he goes onto the pitch. He does an amazing job, absolutely nails ARing and refereeing. You wouldn't realise at this point there's anything wrong with him. Fresh as a daisy, he looks amazing, does a great job, comes back, and immediately goes back into the fetal position in the tent. It's just a brilliant advert for how to be a pro ref. Yeah, and he's
Love
great.
it.
And because he's such a nice guy as well and so down to earth, everyone's just really, really pleased that he's getting his shot at the national levels now.
That's awesome. You're
love
right.
that
That is
story.
a quintessential rugby story. Yeah, that's a
brilliant.
great way to sign off, actually. So that's a good rugby story.
Yeah, apologies to Pete for dropping me a minute.
It's all right. There'll be a fine
should be
somewhere in
fine.
there. A fine for him and a fine for you for throwing him under the bus. So
Yeah, fair enough. Fair
righto. Well,
enough.
Candice, you want to wrap us up? Take us out.
Yeah, thank you all for listening to our guest pod with Hannah. And you know where to find us on Instagram and on YouTube as well. And see you next week.
Jouet.
Jouet!